Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we have the Ghosts of Antietam server number 1 event. The first map here is Westwoods, followed up by our second map here, which is the Roulette Lane. You're seeing an overview of both those maps right now. Thank you to our Patreon members for the support. If you'd like to support, go to the link in the description where you can get live streams of all the broadcasts we do. You can advertise your regiment on the bottom of our videos and get raw gameplay footage of all the broadcasts we do with no commentary and UI. With that being said, our teams for today: it's a smaller server, Ghost of Antietam, doing 2 servers this week. So for the CSA side, you got Archers Brigade, which consists of 14th Tennessee, 7th Tennessee, 19th Georgia, 1st South Carolina, Orr's Rifles, 5th Alabama, and the 1st Louisiana Zouave Battalion. And then the Union side, you have 5th Corps, which is 14th Indiana, 1st Maryland, 8th Connecticut, 65th Illinois, and the 3rd United States Horse Artillery. With that being said, 160-man server. Pretty balanced on both sides. This first round doesn't have any artillery, so it'll all be infantry based. But co-commentating with me today, we have Snow Cactus. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am First Lieutenant Snow Cactus of the 5th Corps 65th Illinois Regiment.
And we are very glad to have him here commentating with us. It'll be very exciting. They'll be moving out. Is it the 42-minute mark?
Yes, sir.
So it is. So I guess while we have 20 seconds, what got you into War of Rights? When did you get War of Rights? Learn a little about
it's kind of funny. I saw a guy I went to high school with shared a link, like a thing on Facebook about it. It must have been like 2016 or 2017. And I was at work. I read it and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. But I'm pretty sure a game like that could never work because it's online play. How are you going to get everyone to stand in line and follow the rules? And then I kind of forgot about it until I saw that the game was now live, and I got it on Steam sale. And when did I get it? Maybe about a year and a half ago, and I've just been playing a lot ever since.
Heck yeah. A Facebook link on a Facebook post is kind of wild to think about.
To really date that story, yeah, and how early it was in the development time.
Indeed. So Union strategy looks like they're going in 3 prongs right now. Remember, they don't have a Steam chat, so they got to send runners throughout the game. But you're Union regiment, so what should Union strategy be to kind of win the Westwoods? What are these Rambos doing? But yeah, what should Union strategy be?
Yeah, Westwoods, for it being a low visibility map, it's not usually as chaotic on the Union side as you might think. The general meta for the map for the longest time was to send a big stack to the right to kind of engage them on the flanks, while you had a center force that would just kind of pin the Confederate defenders in the middle. Although I've been seeing a lot of success now with the Union going further to the left, and it looks like there's a big column of them doing it right now. I don't think I've ever seen quite an even 3-pronged strike into the woods. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Just being able to kind of react and know this is one of those maps where using the early cap might be beneficial. But I did not sit through the meeting today, so I do not know what their plan is.
Indeed. So you got 8th Connecticut for the Union, kind of pushing down that left side. You got a smaller group in the center here, the 3rd United States Horse Artillery. Up there taking some shots on the far right side. It looks like you have the rest of 5th Corps. 1st Maryland, 14th and 65th are somewhere. I can't find them. I missed them.
Yeah, unfortunately, the day I decided to do this, almost no one from the 65th was able to make it today, so we have few numbers kind of probably merged in with other units. But I mean, that is the benefit of being a part of 5th Corps, is even when we're not able to run deep, we can still run with our sister regiments.
Indeed. Always play with the same people, and so that can be very nice for guys, especially, as you mentioned, not having a large number. For CSA defense, you got the 5th Alabama off to the left side. You got 19th Georgia, 7th Tennessee, 1st South Carolina here, kind of engaging that U.S. right. Looks like there's a charge happening with the 8th Connecticut here that we missed with 14th Tennessee. And 8th Connecticut appears to have won that charge. And then holding in the center for CSA, you got the 1st LAB. But I mean, it'll be interesting. Normally don't get to see servers this small at this point in the game. Most public matches that I see are up there by 300. Most regimental matches, get up to 230, 250, 280. So it's always nice to see these smaller battles every once in a while, especially with how tickets work differently. I mean, we've seen a little bit of a charge, and look how many tickets CSA has lost. It's
Yeah, in GOA, we're kind of in this like suffering from success point right now, where we have so many people where we need to split servers, but it's just not enough to make splitting servers sometimes really feel worth it.
right.
Because it's never playing with 163 people is never going to be as fun as playing with 300. It does, present you with some unique challenges that can be somewhat fun to explore. But we always hope to get a few more regiments in it so that we can either justify having 2 servers feel more full, or God willing, we get those 400-man servers any day.
Right. Yeah, towards the end of BLN Wednesday Season 4 when we had it, or I guess it was even during Season 2, you'd have, 400 some people, and so you'd have split off into 2 tiny servers, and I don't know, it's a weird phase, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, but it's a necessary evil, but no one's ever excited that it happens.
Yep. Ban these people. That's all I'm hearing right now. Ban red. I'm kidding. But Union kind of pushing up 8th Connecticut far on this CSA right. 14th Tennessee getting their respawns in, getting battered and falling back. First LAB kind of reshifting over to the side. Union's not really charging. They're just sitting back and shooting. And I think despite all the flag respawn changes and ticket increase to both sides, I mean, on these smaller servers, ticket amount goes down. Kind of speaking of those changes with the flag respawns, what are your thoughts on that going from 10 to 5 seconds?
Yeah, that is kind of the hot button issue in the community for a while, although it seems the controversy is simmering down. But by all means, I will share my thoughts on it. I don't hate it. I know it's an adjustment, and on the one hand, people have said that it's made shooting down an enemy a little bit harder, and that is true. But you could also argue that makes it a little bit more historical. I mean, in the Civil War ban, that charges were somewhat rare. It would be more realistic. It gives it a feel of larger regiments engaging when you have people respawning on it pretty frequently. On the other hand, it obviously comes with its drawbacks, its challenges. Sometimes there are maps where before the meta would just be to charge somebody out, and now it becomes harder to shoot them down. But I think everyone's kind of getting used to it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been out for, 2 months? I don't know.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Everyone hates change to some degree or another, but I haven't heard people complaining about it as much as they did before.
Yeah. I know at least some of the people that I talked to that were heavily against it. I myself did not like the change, but the people that I talked to just kept repeating themselves over and over again, and at some point they're just like, okay, there's no point in arguing this anymore. It's not going to change. So that's why I think for the most part it's kind of simmered down. I guess that kind of happens with most changes that they like. I guess with really anything, you'll have a controversial change that'll happen within something, and for the most part, if it's just not touched and not really mentioned for a while, and the system's put in place for a while, it just kind of simmers out and people get used to it. So
let that be a lesson to anyone who gets into politics one day.
So true, so very true.
I would have preferred to have seen it, because I think there are some maps that would have benefited from a quicker respawn time, like Boulevard Camp or River Crossing. But and I thought when it first came out, that was the idea. They were just testing it across the board, and then it was going to be selectively applied to some maps. But I guess this is just what it is.
Indeed. 8th Connecticut pushing up. They're starting to cap. CSA kind of countering that and falling back off. 3rd USHA looks like they pushed up, and now they're falling back because they're clearly outnumbered where they're pushing up. But yeah, the developers did say that they were going to test it out, but they just kind of kept the change. They've done it before too. I think it was with the 2 to 4 officers in a round, because it used to be where there was only 2 officers. Now there's 4. So I think they said for that as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I was
that's right. Yeah, because didn't the servers used to be capped at 150 or something like that back when Harper's Ferry was the only map set?
It was, I mean, 150 was there for a while, and that's when they had two companies. Because if you, for anyone who doesn't know, if you hold tab, there's two regiments for each side for the most part, and each regiment has a company A and a company B. So originally it was just like, for example, Union has 7th Michigan Company A, 7th Michigan Company B. It used just to be 7th Michigan, so you'd have one officer there, and then, but now they split them into companies, and so we have that. First Maryland's pushing up the side. There was a whole debate about that one as well, but like it is, it stayed.
Looks like first Connecticut's just about to get behind them too.
Yeah. Yeah, both sides kind of pushing
Connecticut
in.
just got the, yeah, they just got the drop on AB hard.
Looking at first Maryland hitting in here though. DSA a little spread out, great for Union. First Maryland kind of stopping in the middle of the charge, some taking shots. A little. Why is the CSA flag in the middle of the Union line? Interesting.
It's not the CSA line anymore. They just got right up in them.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like some CSA guys, maybe 14th Tennessee, tried to flank the 1st Maryland, and they did. How'd the 8th Connecticut charge? It looks like 8th Connecticut's holding well.
8th Connecticut was a larger line that managed to literally get right behind a smaller unit, and they didn't even notice they were there until they started shooting. That was about as good as a flank can go. I know I normally play Union, so I don't want to lean into Homerism here, but that is one of the things that I think makes Westwood a fun map.
14th Tennessee's charging the 8th Connecticut, who has way more men than they do. I don't get why they would do that on their own. Maybe they thought they were a weaker size, but I mean, that's huge.
That is one of the challenges of this map is, yeah, I mean, sometimes when you're in spectating mode, it can be really easy to get into that, like, you know, that feeling of omnipresence. How do they not realize it? But when you're on the ground, you have that limited field of view in this low visibility map. You think you only see like 5 or 8 guys. Right when you get there, you realize there's 20 of them, and it's too late to turn back. I think anyone who's ever led on one of these maps probably has had that experience at least once or twice.
Indeed, that's the thing. I gotta start asking if we can do this for GOA, but for some of the other events I cover, we usually get 2 people, 2 frontline reporters, as you call it, on the top left and right of the screen, where I capture their in-person view and put them up there, and then we will occasionally cut back and forth between the spectator and in-game view, and it's very cool to see, because we have our view, they have their view, and it's very different.
That sounds like it'd be cool, and I'm sure we have if we're splitting servers often, we'll have the space for it for a while.
Wow. So 7th Tennessee, 1st South Carolina is kind of pushing up close, getting engaged here with the 3rd USHA. Not engaged as in married, but engaged in gunfire.
Hey, we don't know their personal lives like that.
I guess that's true. 3rd USHA is going to merge in with Archer's.
We're celebrating Pride Month here at GOA by having a massive gay wedding in the middle of our fight.
Oh boy.
Everyone's welcome to attend.
So, 15 minutes in the round. I mean, CSA, the pace for Union, I do think needs to pick up. At engaged within 15 minutes is a little slow. But it's not like Union's doing bad. What we saw last week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an adjustment a lot because with the changes that come with the ticket system on a low pop server, and this happens to me too when I lead, is I sometimes kind of forget that the tempo of the map is going to be different than what I'm used to, and we will see if they're able to adjust to that or at least be cognizant of it.
Yeah, I mean, Hookers last week for this, Union dominated the whole game. They just ran out of time. And so
yeah, oh my god, yeah, I was part of that. That was a very frustrating loss.
Yeah, because it's like you guys did everything right. It's just you ran out of time, and I think starting at the 42-minute mark, Union's charging in on the left side, kind of wiping 7th Tennessee and 1st South Carolina and some other groups, but not really a lot of presence there. 8th Connecticut's pushing really far up, close to where CSA's at, kind of hitting the 19th Georgia pretty hard.
That's right.
But the
now, if I'm not mistaken,
there's
no CSA currently on point, which is usually that doesn't usually bode well for the CSA on this map, because then it just becomes a matter of the Union can act at will if they ever go into breaking.
Right. Also, Union can cap point relatively easy. It's going to force the CSA out. I do think, especially with you guys starting at the 42-minute mark, I do think capping is required to stop the clock, bring everybody's tickets down. I think that's what Union kind of missed on that first match last week. You guys could have capped.
If it wasn't hookers, I think it would have been fine. But because we got our flags knocked down, and then you have that like 2-mile walk from main spawn, like that's what we all knew. The writing was on the wall, and that we had to go to point. But by then, we're all spawned way the hell in the back.
8th Connecticut started.
Live and learn.
Indeed. The glory of War of Rights. Or I guess any real-time strategy game. And 8th Connecticut. Oh, they charged in the back of first LAB, and they are going to win that. A lot of winning on Union charges here. Union's defeating the Confederates in detail pretty well.
Yeah, that's. I think I mentioned that. That's what I like about this map is when you play it as Union, it gives you. If you're a tricky, sneaky guy who likes to play little flanks and get behind people, this is a great map for it. And I think now the CSA is kind of realizing that. It seems like they've got everybody pulled back to the fence now, which is a fine conservative strategy, but it does kind of abdicate the battlefield. So right now, if you're playing this defensively as the CSA, your only way of winning is if you're able to just shoot them out. And I don't remember what the ticket differential is on this map, but I don't think it's that high.
I can look. I have that sheet up.
3/4.
At least on my phone, anyways.
Yeah, we got the 7th Tennessee now on the move into the woods, but they're a pretty small unit.
I don't
support. They won't accomplish
I don't get
much.
going in by yourself, especially the defenders.
Yeah, I mean sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but you got to make sure you got someone there to protect you.
Right. It really, I don't know. It just seems like they're going off on their own without communicating to their friendlies what's going on. 8th Connecticut's moving on the point.
They might just be scouting though.
They could be. I mean, they're stopping.
Here they go.
Looks like they're going to cap. This is a 25% ticket differential in favor of the Union.
Oh.
8th Connecticut, they're going through the point. Are they going to? I don't know if they're still on cap. 8th Connecticut joining up with 1st Maryland. They're going to take some close range shots. They're not capping here. CSA starting to shift over. 8th Connecticut's charging up, getting close to the wall. 14th Tennessee is moving in here as well.
Oh, they got a good pincer move on the 8th Connecticut there. Those two lines converged right on them.
Kill them all! Get that officer, get that officer, get that officer! Back off the fence, get your loads. Get your loads.
Right, pull back, pull back. Shoot them, let's go. Shoot them as they run. Shoot them as they run. Get that flag!
So CSA really able to hold that, but Union, it's out of bounds for them. They really can't go over there. On the other side of the map, 7th Tennessee has been pushed up alongside the 19th, and then the far CSA right, 1st LAB, looks like they're moving towards the center. And you also have the 1st South Carolina. These three dudes off getting charged now by 8th Connecticut.
First LAB is playing very wide to the south right now.
So, how often does communication occur between the regiments within an event like this? That has no
So
suggest.
we always try to do our best. Most of the time, it is everyone just kind of knows what their role is based on the strategy, but we do try to do a good job of sending runners when needed. Though on some maps, communication and situational awareness can be easier than others. Obviously, with a low visibility one like this, it's a lot easier for things to turn to chaos. Even if you have runners, it can be tricky for them to find whoever they're looking for. So on a map like this, trusting in the plan is relied on a little bit heavier than it might otherwise would be.
I know you can't see him, but just get on the new line. Right in front of us.
First, South Carolina's getting really close to 8th Connecticut. Nice shot on the officer.
Yep,
But-
yep, everybody on me.
Looks like 8th Connecticut's going to keep running around. They're trying to find something. Looks like 1st Maryland's doing the same thing. 3rd US HA is up here. Up now, engaging shots with CSA. Looks like 8th Connecticut might be charging here. Looks like... Oh, are they? Yes, they
Looks
are.
like that first LAB flank is paying off. I don't know if they have the numbers to take out 8th Connecticut, but they definitely got the drop on them there. Yeah, it looked like that numbers game just worked out for 8th Connecticut.
Yeah. I don't know. In recent matches, especially public matches, blobbing up, the more you're blobbed up, obviously you're going to have this numerical advantage, but the more blobbing I've seen, the more winning I've seen. So I'm seeing a lot more blobbing from the Union side compared to Confederates, who are kind of acting off in their own little groups. So
yeah, that is kind of unfortunate that seems to be the way that the game is going. Just I don't know if that's a consequence of the new flag rules or what.
I think it is.
Yeah, and then just the breakdown. I mean, you have 2 huge units
First round
on
sharpie.
the Union.
Yeah, no, you're right too. I mean, just the composition. 2 units, big units on the Union side, a lot of smaller ones on the Confederate side, and Confederates have to have much more cohesion, which, again, with this type of map, it can be hard. Confederates almost had taken losses. Union pace definitely going up. So like that. I mean, Union's dominated the map. We haven't seen a full mass charge from both teams, which is what I think will be the key factor in determining who wins point once CSA hits breaking, which will eventually get there. I'm really surprised that CSA is venturing off into the woods, though. Kind of a little spread out, though. I mean, as defenders, you want that clock going to 0 while taking minimal casualties, and Union doesn't really seem like they want to cap point. So why push your smaller group out into the woods when you've been getting wiped in detail the whole game? Granted, we don't know what they're thinking, right? We got the spectator view, we have everything, but it's a little surprising, though. Union's pushing
I kind of agree with you. I would normally advise, if I was the CSA officer right now, I'd probably be thinking of a little bit more of an aggressive strategy, trying to get those flanks to whittle down Union casualties. But you're also right now, the onus is on the offense for capping. And if they're not going to cap, you know, why help them get it to breaking?
Right.
Don't shoot in there. Let's respond. Don't shoot in there.
CSA kind of pushed out. Looks like they tried to maybe go to 3rd USHA or get some volleys with them, but 1st Maryland's going to meet them as they're running back, kind of catch them off guard. And both sides should go down a morale stage a moment. Yeah, TSA hits taking losses. Union's still not at engaged. Jeez Louise. Union, there they go. They hit engage.
Interestingly enough, it looks like the Union is only rolling with 3 companies right now.
They're not taking a... Huh.
So that might also, you know, we're talking about team composition. That's to have 3 strong companies moving around where you have the CSA broken down into these little bite-sized pieces, as we're kind of seeing today. Almost every time they get close to each other, the USA is winning pretty handedly.
Right. And I mean, it's going to be really hard for CSA to just lodge Union because, right, as we're saying, CSA is a bunch of tinier groups. Union has kind of 2 big groups here, and that's hard enough, right? But Union caps point. Okay, we'll see if they can hold. CSA is going to have to do a heck of a coordination because, one, as we're saying, Union has 2 big groups. That's going to be hard to dislodge when you have a bunch of tinier groups. But on top of that, Union's going to get these flag respawns going in quick. So CSA has to have one big decisive charge and wipe the Union completely. Because if they half-wipe the Union, Union's just going to reform instantly with the flag respawns.
Yeah. I mean, obviously nothing is over till it's over, but I kind of have the feeling that this is the Union's match to lose right now.
Yep.
And then that's putting it kind of mildly.
But if Confederates win this with only 20 minutes left, if they retake this point quickly, which it can be hard to do, they can go up the whole morale stage.
I've been wrong before.
Yeah.
Now that too.
Are we independent or?
Because CSA now, they've kind of spread themselves out to kind of guard the whole wood line and that's how they've kind of been defeated in detail. Maybe now that they're on the attack, they can blob up more, whereas the Union might have to spread themselves out. I don't think you should, but that's besides the point.
I mean, this is kind of... There's a thing I feel sometimes when organizing battles in War of Rights is there's what makes actual sound military sense if this was like a real battle versus what works within the gameplay mechanics of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel about Boulevard Camp. Is you have all this huge open space and none of it matters. You gotta guard the core. I personally, I'm a big fan of turtling on that map. I don't care what the hell the CSA is doing in those tents. That is not my stuff. But
yeah, really. Yeah, there's no point.
I don't have to worry about them stealing my shoes. Yeah.
7th Tennessee's 19th Georgia. They pushed out into the woods, got beat back almost instantly. 2 minutes are gone. We haven't seen CSA push out yet. I mean, they're very spread out. I don't know if their officers are going along the line or their men are sending runners, but...
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they end up doing a full, like, crossed line push, or, yeah, if they're going to concentrate and then I'll just try to converge on point.
I mean, because if we zoom out, Union spread out into these 3 distinct groups that they've been in the whole time. I mean, CSA...
It looks like a smiley face.
It kind of does if... That's really funny.
Look how happy he is that this war's happening.
But if CSA blobs up, they can defeat the Union in detail.
Yep.
Come on, Larry. Let's go, Larry.
I think CSA needs to wipe the Union. I don't think they should go sit on point. They're cutting across point right now. 1st Maryland's forming alongside the 8th Connecticut. Some CSA groups going really far right, and CSA is just going to sit on point, which I think is a mistake because you're now letting the Union know where you're at. Granted, they're mostly blobbed up, but...
I mean, I think it makes sense to blob to recap, but yeah, you're right. It's afterwards spreading out might be the way to go.
Because when you're defending on a map like this, you don't know. 1st LAB's going off on their own, which I don't know why, but sorry, we'll see this charge and then I'll explain what happens. Well, 1st Maryland's going to charge in here right away. 8th Connecticut's trying to flank around. I wish 8th. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see who wins the charge. I could see too many things before they actually happen in the long a fair amount. But 3rd USHA getting
2
in
flags
here as well.
that go down.
Yep, that's huge. Very huge. 8th Connecticut now hits as well. Point going back in favor of the Union side. Union winning on 1/2 with the CSA front. And I think they're going to wipe the rest here. Good hold from Union. Or I guess win from Union.
If they wipe that line and now you have 3 CSA flags down that deep in the woods, that's pretty much the team decapitated.
Yep, and I mean 3 minutes left. It's going to be chaos for CSA. 3rd USHA actually didn't go in that charge. They kind of sat off to the side shooting 1st LAB. But the interesting thing is when you're attacking on this map, the defenders aren't going to know where you're coming from. And I think by CSA blobbing up, which is great, but holding themselves on the point lets the Union know where you're at, and they can kind of hit you from many directions, which is what we saw the Union did. They hit you from the front, they hit you from the side, and I think CSA need to wipe Union before trying to retake that point. But I don't know if they're going to be able to.
Yeah, I don't know if they have the time to wipe them and then recap.
Hey, at this point, no. At this point, no. Interestingly, though, 1st LAB is going way around the map. They're trying to get behind the Union side. It's going to be tricky, though, without flags for CSA. I think 1st LAB might have a flag, but CSA is just going straight in. Really all they can do.
Yeah. Well, R.I.P. Bill.
And I mean, yeah, those down flags are going to be huge. Oh, 1 flag's going to get saved here for CSA, but I mean, as long as Union has their 2, 3 flags up here, it's going to be very hard for CSA to try to do something. Half the guys charging forward, the other half trying to get around the backside. 1st LAB's behind the Union line shooting. Point still in firm Union control. CSA hits breaking, but that doesn't really matter. Third USHA is now charging in, kind of wiping the rest of this first wave. Second wave's charging from behind now.
Get up to me, boy!
50 seconds left. Union still having control of the point. Well, I don't know why. Is it first LAB sitting back and shooting? You got to get in the charge. Points going slightly in favor of CSA.
Yeah, they're putting stress on the Union.
30 seconds left. Actually, first LAB, I don't know. They do have a flag over there. Oh, Union guy tried to get that CSA flag. That was smart, but...
Fight it, boys. Fight it.
Hey, whose flag is Stay together.
I mean, we'll see an overtime triggered if CSA has more bodies on point, which they might. Actually, I might have been wrong about first LAB charging in there. They kind of capped this point up.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I didn't really think about CSA spawn being so close, but overtime's going to be hit. CSA should win this, and they'll go back up to a low engage, might be taking losses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking to myself there, you know, once they cap the point, they kind of have to wipe that Union that's sitting just on the side, especially it'd be smart to get them while they're all trying to reload, but yeah, they did it.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I thought first LAB had to charge in there, but I guess not. It worked well for them. I mean, 20 minutes at a low engage. Oh, Union's charging in. Overtime still inactive.
Oh, there they go.
If it caught me off guard, it definitely caught CSA off guard. But even if Union loses this, Union's going to be losing a fair amount of tickets before they fully recap, and CSA won't be able to regain as many. And they're back up, taking losses. Wow.
I know as the Union we try to pencil charge a lot, but I'm not sure if that was the right call in that situation. They needed all the bodies on there right away rather than having to risk the people getting shot out.
Union's still charging
now their
in.
flag's down. Yeah.
You
get all these people landing on point at once. That's going to be a lot more useful than all these people coming in one at a time, but they still might have had the numbers where it works for them.
They got to knock CSA down on morale stage again. But yeah, they definitely have the time. So this will be a close finish. But I don't know. I mean, tickets looking in favor of CSA by a hair.
Yep. But unless the CSA completely changes now how they've been playing this whole match, I think it still goes to the Union, but they might.
I mean, it's going to be really hard. I think CSA should try to turtle. Again, don't really send yourself off. Force the Union to cap the point, which I don't think Union's going to try to cap. They're going to wait at least till breaking to try to make that move. But force Union to cap while you're still taking losses, and then try to push the Union in the last stand. That's how I think CSA wins this. I don't think they're going to be able to hold for 18.5 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the Union knows that they have the time advantage on their hands, so they're going to try to form up muster here, make sure when they go in strong.
Right.
Yeah, I'll go first. Do you guys want to wait, give it like a good 30-second gap, so if somebody initiates with us, they don't see you guys until it's too late.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? So unfortunately, I was cursed in life to be born into a Bears family. And the last couple of times I've watched the Bears, I swear they will play like crap all game and suddenly really pull it together in the fourth quarter. And they do super well, but it's too late because it's the fourth quarter. And it's like, where was that the entire game? Unless something really changes, that's kind of what the CSA is reminding me of right now.
Right. I've been very fortunate to be a Lions fan this year. Before that, not so much.
The only year that's fortunate, but yeah. No.
Yeah, so very true. Outside of the Pistons, it's been Detroit's been kind of popping off. Maybe not baseball, but anyways.
Oh, I'm primarily a White Sox fan, so I'm incredibly depressed. Thank you for asking. But
I don't know. Baseball is I don't like watching it. I get bored. I don't like basketball much either. I think hockey's probably my favorite sport with football behind. College football, NHL, and then NFL. Probably.
I was raised in the Chicago in the 90s, so the Bulls were a big deal back then, but they haven't been much to watch ever since. Baseball's always definitely been my sport, followed by, yeah, hockey's a good time. I've been lucky that the Blackhawks have been somewhat decent in my adult life.
Got a Bedard now. It's been a beauty to watch. It's been great. I'm happy that Red Wings have Patrick Kane though.
Oh man, why do you always get our Chris Chelios and now Patrick Kane?
I'm not complaining. We'll see if we keep him next year though. That'll be something to watch. But
about face.
anyways, Union's finally starting to move out. They're all looks like they're hooking to the CSA left. First Maryland in front.
That's one hell of a snake they got going in.
They really do, and I mean, 8th Connecticut is really far behind, but
yeah, it's like right when they're about to send that snake into the CSA flank, they just curve off to the front. So I feel like that's a little bit of wasted potential.
8th Connecticut though kind of reacts, and they're still following First Maryland.
Well,
they better not cap again. I mean, they can cap and hold, but I guess not risk the time being an issue again. That could be it.
I mean, now I'm trying to. Is there something different if you capped once? If they cap again in breaking, that's not an instant game over, is it?
So
Now
the
that they've
same
already
rules still
capped?
apply. No, so it doesn't matter how many times you've capped or as many little as times as you capped. It's all the same rules. So
Okay.
if Union caps again and CSA's at taking losses, it's going to be 7 minutes just like last time. CSA hits breaking, which looks like they won't before the cap, but if CSA hits breaking, then Union caps and wins automatically. But
I'm almost embarrassed to say how long it took me to figure out how all of that worked as I played this
you're
game.
good.
Like I'd always hear everyone be
You're
like,
good.
"Don't early cap," and what the hell are you talking about? Why do you not want to cap? Like I've obviously picked it up since, but yeah, that was it's a very unique feature to this game.
It took me such a long time to figure it out, and I think I've talked about it so much that it makes a lot of sense, but it takes a while to understand. I mean, making the script for the War of Rights tutorial that we posted 2 years ago, if you don't know, we're making one. It should be up in a couple weeks before the Team Summer Sale, hopefully. But trying to word how the counterattack phase works was a thing of beauty. Trying to figure that out, it was a pain. But I think.
Tell me about. I wrote like a guide for new players once that I posted on the subreddit during the sale, and that was the same thing. That was like bending my brain. It's like, so do you want a cap? Yes, but also no, but also sometimes.
It really... One of the CSA guys just ran up and started screaming because he saw 8th Connecticut barreling down on him. And
that's an authentic way to let your team know that the enemy is near. Props on that guy for role playing.
Indeed, they get wiped in the end. But Union kind of probing. CSA pulling off the snake fence. They're kind of blobbed up, except 5th Alabama's pulling off now. Interesting. Union should know CSA's on point, at least if they're looking on the compass.
Patrick, there's a lot on our north.
But where is 5th Alabama going? They're right next to 8th Connecticut, who's now pulling back. And 5th Alabama's pursuing this. I don't like this.
Yeah, this is... I was wondering if they were going to retreat into friendly lines, but now it looks like now they're going to stand and hold. The CSA is pulling back, which I can understand why they'd want to conserve tickets. Obviously, they don't know what we know by being able to look down here, but I think if they went forward, it would have benefited them.
I think any engage, well, getting engagement favors the unless they get wiped, but I don't know.
It's a friendly flag.
Yeah, one guy from the 1st South Carolina fighting the entire 1st Maryland.
Praise be.
I appreciate his spirit, yeah.
Speaking of 1st Maryland, looks like they're going to slam to the side of most of the DSA team.
Independent fire, gentlemen. Keep with the independent fires.
Maybe to preserve the flag.
Shout out to Corporal Slow Chemical. You're doing a great job hiding behind that tree and just having an entire Union line worry about you.
So Confederates, I think, should outshoot. Actually, I don't know. A good chunk of the CSA team's not here.
So a thing about the 65th Illinois is that we are normally a skirmisher unit, and I have had a lot of fun with that on this map because of the things that make it kind of difficult, the low visibility and all the cover and the maneuvering around. And I have had positions, like points in this game, where I find my guys behind cover and we're shooting at an entire enemy company and we're holding them all up. And it's like, just keep up the fire, guys. They don't know there's only 4 of us here.
8th Connecticut's moving on to point. Actually, it's the 3rd USHA. They're now engaged, pushing up on this DSA. They're outnumbered, though. They're getting shot up from 2 sides. Getting pretty much destroyed there.
Moving back, moving back.
Pull back, pull
They're
back.
going to pull back there pretty quickly. Yeah, the first Maryland.
Oh man, I wonder if the CSA might pull this off, or
I don't know. That's what one thing I kind of wish would be cool. If you, when you go on like the ESPN website during matches, you can see the percentage that a team has, or like their chance of winning percentage-wise. Like I want to see that bar.
I was thinking the same thing, but then how the hell would you calculate that?
Really,
it's a little bit easier to figure out, like, you know, basketball statistics. It's a million variants in this.
right? So both sides getting closer and closer. Union's ahead by a little bit. Looks like 8th Connecticut might be pulling up on the CSA right. There they are. I don't know if they see the CSA to the left. They're not going.
Nope.
Oh yeah, they see them.
Oh, CSA does not have buck and ball on this map.
I do not know.
Is that it, or?
I don't know. And I can probably look it up. There's a nice dock that has every skirmish map with every regiment and their guns. Looks like 1st Maryland's going to hit CSA on the side. We're getting close to breaking here. 1st LAB is going to get hit. It's more CSA kind of flanking around the side, maybe trying to hit 1st Maryland behind.
I come for you, domain. Come out, come and get some of them precious cheeks, boy.
Yeah, 1st Maryland's getting hit from behind. 1st Maryland's now spreading out as they are outnumbered. Jeez, this is big old round of loop. Big old loop-de-loop. DSA might hit breaking here. 1st Maryland, their officers still kind of charging. Points going in Union's favor. I don't know if this is a pre-cap, intentional or not. You have some 1st Maryland Cav guys sitting there on the cap.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if CSA's going to hit breaking.
Wonder.
Oh, no.
All right, left face, reform with 8, boys.
Yeah. Well, even with that, I think they might just be able to hold it for 6 minutes.
It's possible. If I were CSA, I think the best chance you guys is I don't know. It could be risky, right? I think they should try to push Union to last stand. And if they're not going to do that, they need to quickly recap and keep that black timer going. Regardless, they need to get aggressive.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm with you. I think a recap is probably the smarter thing to do and the easier thing.
Right, because you got. I mean, if you can hold breaking and last stand for 9 minutes, you're fine. But DSA is getting charged by 8th Connecticut.
Shoot him down, shoot him down.
They're not being charged. Looks like they're just running up, shooting, and falling back. Why isn't CSA moving into cap?
Oh, there is one single CSA soldier and one single Union soldier on point. Maybe they can fight it out.
14th Tennessee is moving on to the point. They're starting to cap, and I mean, looking over, 1st Maryland got completely beaten back, so CSA does have more men on the combat area right now. And they're taking that point back.
I think the Union just needs to pick a side, either go right, either go left, but just have everyone on the same point right now.
Yeah, Patrick, it looks like Maryland keeps pulling back, like they got hit pretty hard.
I mean, if I were Union, I'd let the recap happen. I don't know if 8th Connecticut and 3rd USHA knows the condition of 1st Maryland, where they're at, but Union should just let them recap and then get aggressive, knock them into breaking, and start fighting for that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're in much of a position right now where they're able to contest the recap anyway.
That too, yep.
Watch left oblique. Watch left oblique.
Finish those loads!
1st Maryland's now basically fully ready to move in. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Union intends to not cap, but I think letting the CSA recaps are a great idea right now. I don't know.
It's interesting you think that, because I know that if I was an officer on the ground right now, I'd probably be trying to fight to keep the cap, but
I mean,
let's see what happens.
I can kind of explain my logic in a minute, but yeah, 1st Maryland's now charging in. CSA hits breaking. Points going in favor of Union as 1st Maryland wins that charge. Rest of CSA is starting to move out this way. And 5th Alabama's getting in there.
Have a nice day, sir.
I guess my logic for letting CSA cap, I don't know. I mean, if I think my team can win a charge, I'm fine with letting them recap. I don't know. It's kind of, there's a lot of good choices for both sides, I think.
Yeah, I think the Union kind of got complacent with how strong their early game was, and they weren't taking the threat of the CSA very seriously after they retook the point. I do believe, I mean, let's see, who's the Union officers? You got Patrick, you got Ronald, you got Vaughn. All of them are capable combat officers. I think that they'll have the presence of mind to readjust now that they know things are getting a little bit tighter.
It's possible. I'm not sure.
It's just going to be a question of how they do it and whether it's going to be enough to meet whatever the CSA's done to kind of retighten themselves up.
Yeah. If Union loses this, I think it's because of when they capped. I don't know. The capping and taking losses twice is kind of
6:30 full set.
But
yeah, that's the question, if that second cap was intentional or not. Because I've definitely capped on accident on this map. Thankfully,
so
I've still
easy.
won doing that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Boy, did I get a lot of flack for it in the because anytime you lead in pubs and you make the slightest bit of a mistake, you're basically Hitler.
I was watching a roulette lane match. CSA had taken over the whole field. Union was turtling in spawn. CSA was slowly dwindling them down. But problem is when you're turtling on roulette as Union, it can take a while for CSA to knock you down, but it'll eventually happen. So after like 20 minutes of shooting, 3 CSA guys, which I won't dox the guy's name, but one of them was level 100, decided to, when Union was about to hit breaking, like a fourth of a stage away, decided to cap the point for CSA, therefore starting the counterattack for reasons of this game was boring, I wanted to make it fun. And people got pissed at the guy. And some people started team killing him, and it was deserved, I think.
Yeah.
But, CSA won the game. CSA won the game, but it was like, what are you doing?
On the one hand, I can kind of understand his rationale behind that. On the other hand, I also understand the fury of everyone else behind that. If you're a level 100, it's pretty easy to just, I guess, not care. But yeah, there are some maps where one of the biggest challenges that you have to face as an officer is the fact that it's gonna be boring. You gotta keep your men sitting on their hands, like on river crossing if you're like hiding under the rail bridge to keep your guys from getting hit by artillery. It's like somebody once told me that part of being a teacher is being an entertainer, and that can be the case also for being a good officer on this. You gotta keep the people engaged. You gotta keep those ants out of their pants so they don't just wander off and start acting like fools.
Yep, 8th Connecticut charging in here right away. They wipe that group and get battered pretty badly themselves. 1st Maryland's now hitting into the side as CSA. CSA, while wound up, is a little spread out.
Happy 5th Corps month.
CSA flags are able to get out of there successfully, and it looks like CSA is going to be able to hold this. Third, United States
CS
did not go in.
Make sure you're loaded.
Moving on
I don't know if it
CSA
mattered,
reinforcements were a lot closer than US ones. Yeah, they it looks like
Actually-
third US is starting to go in, but is it too little, too late?
I take that back what I said earlier during that second cap. Knowing what I know now in hindsight, Union probably should have charged in to bring everybody's tickets down, even though they weren't going to win. Because they're not winning anything right now, charge-wise. Jeez. How can a game turn around?
Man, all the Union needs to get back. They need to get together and get ready to attack as one.
Well, they got one more organized charge
Yeah.
to do this. And we'll see if the Union group at spawn is going to be able to reconnect with these guys. Obviously, Union's attacking. That's why we're focusing so much more on them. So, Union biased. Oh no, shiver me timbers. I know I'll get called that by some CSA people that I'm Union biased, but I also get called by Union people that I'm CSA biased. It's kind of fun to watch. But
Yeah. That's the big debate, is if the devs are biased, and I think the fact that the CSA firing range is so convenient and the US firing range is so inconvenient is proof of that.
that's so true. I don't get the reason for having it so far away from everything. Like,
Because Europeans love the Confederacy.
yeah, basically.
Fun fact, Germany has a massive Civil War reenactment scene, and they really love being the Confederates there.
They felt bad for not helping in the actual one, so now they're helping it in this online virtual game. But 3 minutes left. That Union group from spawn moved out far right, so the two Union blobs are separated. I hope they'll be able to coordinate a charge together if they want to win. Otherwise, Confederates will just defeat them in detail, and they're going to lose this game. This has been a crazy turnaround, by the way.
Yeah. That's a real buzzer beater, and that is kind of a shame if the USA loses two very winnable maps by dropping the ball in GOA 2 weeks in a row. That's
that first cap. See, you know, when you're up by a whole morale stage, capping is a mistake. So maybe they thought they could hold it, but even if you have that thought, you have 20 minutes left. You're up a whole morale stage. Don't even risk that. But Union's charging in.
I mean, weren't you saying earlier that it makes sense for them to early cap?
Did I say that for the first? I should not have if I did.
You sure did.
Well, it's very risky. Maybe pre-capping there, but TSA might hit last stand here. Might.
Oh, the Union might have driven them off. The question is going to be who gets reinforcements to the point quicker.
Union's holding on point. They're winning.
But where is the rest of the Union?
Dead.
Yeah. I guess there's more of them than I thought. I wonder if this little fifth Alabama next to them is gonna split enough of their attention to make them vulnerable to the West.
TSA now moving in from their main spawn. They're going to hit last stand here. Union might hit final push, but that won't really change anything. That shot right there. Woodham's got it.
That's huge for the Union.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, as long as they can hold their flags up here, CSA has to wipe the Union here. Otherwise, Union will most likely win this.
And here comes the Union reinforcements. All right, I think they might have pulled this one back off.
Jeez. And Union hitting final push. That doesn't really change anything. And I think Union's going to pull this one off. Snow Cactus, I guess your thoughts for the round?
That should have been a much easier Union win. Props to the CSA for kind of, they made a hell of a game of it at the end, especially when they started off so, not great. They should definitely be pretty proud of that second half, and I think the Union guy has to work on, even though they won, that was a very close victory that could have very easily been a defeat. I think there's got to be some talk on how to avoid that in the future.
Yeah, indeed. That first cap was not a good idea on Union's parts, whether on purpose or not. I mean, you're up a whole morale stage. No point in doing it at that point. But I mean, hey, you found a way to win in the end. So.
Yeah, I mean, the CSA, I get why you do it, though. I mean, the entire CSA was playing really back, really conservatively, and it might make sense to do that to, put the onus on them. But then you got to really focus on holding that point, which they for whatever reason weren't able to do.
Right.
Because once they had point, once 3 CSA flags were down way in the back, I thought that was it. I thought that was the ball game. But credit to the CSA, they really pulled it back.
Indeed, and with that all being said, we will see you shortly for round number 2.
Folks.
Here we are with round number 2. This is fascinating to see already. Up to 170. Union having 12 guys on artillery. All the 3rd U.S. HA is on the guns, which we'll see how that goes. I'm skeptical of artillery, but we'll see. CSA approach, also fascinating as well. 14th Tennessee going down the far right side. In the center, you got the 1st LAB with the 1st SC to their left. 5th Alabama, 7th Tennessee, 19th Georgia on this left side. Some 1st Maryland guys. Chris Moto over here inside of the little shack here. The little creek running water here thing, which is interesting that they're all the way out there. But yeah, Union holding up on this kind of L formation. But yeah, Snow Cactus, what's Union defense strategy on this map?
So this is usually, nothing too fancy. It's you make a little L defense along the stone wall and along the snake rail fence. You never want to get too cute with it generally, because the more stretched out you are, the more vulnerable you are, and that's kind of where they have to go anyway. Although it's real interesting, I've never seen the CSA break this way, into 3 separate columns, especially this one that's going super far left into the field there. That is kind of new.
Yeah, they're hitting the artillery. You got Hughes and medical services here. Oh, he goes down. Man, I wonder if he was going to try to fire point blank at him, but they get wiped.
Well, they had a survivor, so at least they'll be notified.
Yeah.
And hey, it's my very own Captain Creature. You go tell him, Creature.
Let's go. When I hear Creature, I think of Preacher from First BA Cab.
It happens all the time.
That's fair.
Yeah, 65th Illinois. We'll let you know that everyone else is dead. That's our motto. That will change when I think of a better one.
Irish is pushing his guys up from the top of the hill down, putting more guys on the stone wall. CSA is kind of hitting from all fronts. Oh, what is? I think Chris Moto's guys got pushed down. There's only a couple of those. There's Chris Moto.
Fuck you, buddy. Fuck you, buddy.
So both Union and CSA being weirdly aggressive. I am curious to see how this goes.
Shut up, idiot.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Although I think the CSA's thrust might have been a little bit more successful than the Union ones.
Yeah.
Hey, fucking Rambo, get out of here.
Similar to the mass map, I don't know why you would do that, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, I've seen it work. I was unfortunately, one time I was balanced over to the CSA, and this was when the map planning was a little bit more stagnant. Everyone was kind of running the same thing every time, and then 8th Connecticut flanked us like that, and it devastated us. But I think they're a little bit more prepared for it now. You can only get away with a tricky maneuver once or twice before they kind of figure it out, especially when you're playing against the same people every week.
Right. So 14th Tennessee, some kind of pulling back. It's interesting, these guys back here, like where movement target is, and Viking, I'm pretty sure they're on cap point for some dumb reason. The point can be captured right there, but Union having a lot more guys there. First LAB's kind of pushing over with 14th starting to engage. Union crouching to get cover behind the stone wall. Ooh. CSA got guys shooting at back of the house here. Not seen CSA shoot from back here before. Very hard shots. Not going to hit a whole lot.
Yeah, they definitely broke the playbook for this one. I'm curious to see, but you know what? And this is a map that the Union usually wins, and I've said this before. If it's a map that your side typically loses, do something insane to see if it works. Sometimes just breaking the enemy's complacency is enough.
Fair enough. It's actually interesting that the same guy earlier who I mentioned captured the point when Union was about to hit breaking in that pub match. That same guy in a regimental match had his guys behind the White House next to the beehives, had his guys counter battering the Union artillery with infantry.
Oh. Well, he wanted to make it interesting, and I can't necessarily say he failed. Whether it works, though, my guess is that he failed.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
Okay.
Yeah. The reaction of the commentator for that video. It's very funny.
Yeah, I can imagine that did not make him much popular, but...
So, CSA are really just probing and shooting from a distance. These aren't easy shots. Shooting in this game is hard enough in the first place, but when your enemy's behind a stone wall at a distance, you can really only hit their head. Those are just going to be very hard shots. Despite all this, Union's down a little bit more tickets, though. It can be a hard map for Union to win. Some CSA are actually pushing up. 5th Alabama is pushing up. Union shifting.
Yeah, I think that CSA ticket advantage might be from that big attack on the southwest side.
Yep. I'm really surprised to see CSA spreading themselves out so much and not just blobbing up and hitting a side. That's what I normally see.
I mean, it might be effective because it's not like you have to be... Normally the danger in splitting yourself up this much is it makes you vulnerable to enemy counterattack, but it's not like the Union's going to be doing that.
Right. I do know that once Union kind of loses this L formation, any point of it, it's very hard for Union to win the map.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when you're spread out like this, sure, you're not going to be pushed out, and it's not like CS is going to lose position, but if they want to gain any ground.
Yeah.
Union's blobbed up.
The last time I played this for HEOA, the CSA, I can't remember if they won or they came really close, but they were mostly in that little forested thicket that's to the left of the pond, and they stayed in there for a really long time, which was unusual because they usually make a couple of attacks across this slope and try and take the field. But they just kind of, they played for time, and then I think they ended up capturing on breaking, if my memory serves.
Well, definitely have, I mean, we're 8 minutes almost into the round. Union's halfway through battle ready. Granted, I was saying that Union was going slow last round attacking, but they started to pick up the pace in the middle of the round. They got plenty of time to kind of do stuff. I am, when I officer, which is very rare, because I'm always flying around in the sky, I'm a very blob charge happy person, and so that's why I say a lot of the things that I do. So, for some of these,
that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, as a an officer in the 65th, I'm used to skirmishing. So even when I'm like officering in pubs, I'm still thinking like a skirmisher. So I'll tell people, spread out, be tricky here. Like I don't care if you kneel as long as you have cover, and it's for a reason.
14th Tennessee kind of getting shot up and falling back. Some first MD Cav guys getting some good shots on their part. Yeah, and you do have some Confederates starting to hold up inside of that wood area right now. 7th Tennessee is taking shots.
Savage, where you at?
Oh, now their lines are going back to normal. Nature is healing.
There's a fucking firing line in there.
Now, a big threat for the CSA in this map is going to be 3rd Usha on those guns, because I will give them that. 3rd Usha are surgeons with those things. I have fought against them balanced over to the other side, and it's never fun.
So, kind of bouncing off that, what do you think of artillery in general?
I don't play it very much because I'm not very good at it, and I'm kind of afraid to learn. Because you make a mistake, in like infantry, you accidentally shoot one guy, you make a mistake with arty, and you've just blown up a friendly line. So even when I do play, I will usually just be a little powder monkey. I'll be helpful. I'll go grab your canister shot or whatever. I don't do much aiming and shooting, but it's definitely valuable. Good arty can make or break you.
I mean, that's going to be the big thing too. That shot hitting short. But where'd that shot go? That one short. But I mean, yeah, it can be big, right? Because the server, there's a 3-man balance in favor of CSA, but like Union has 11 guys on guns, so they got to make up for the fact that they don't have 7 guns, infantry guns going off. Granted, infantry misses too, right? But
yeah. Now, normally I'd say that's too big of an investment on the artillery, and you're probably not going to see the ROI, you know, in terms of what you're losing on the front line. But like I said, I've played with 3rd Usha enough to kind of think, to respect putting that many people there will be a good use of Union resources.
I mean, currently, I mean, Union's doing fine. The pace for CSA is slow. I said this last round, though. They got plenty of time, though. They'll probably charge eventually, but they got plenty of time to kind of do what they want. I mean, they're ahead on tickets by a little bit, so.
I know it's kind of a truism to say this, but I believe this is going to be one of those matches where we really don't know how it's going to go until the very end.
Overshot.
Well, they're starting to put a lot more of their lines into that thicket, which is kind of... That's the more usual thing I've noticed for CSA to do in this. Although they've got the Union spread out pretty far now on that wall. You have half of the... You know, or I should say 1/3 of the Union infantry now fighting a force that's barely making a difference way the hell out there.
Some CSA
and that's kind of what good skirmishers can do.
CSA kind of pushing up 710C. They got a little defilade here that they can use to get some good shots on. Union's starting to push up this side.
I think if they did a full send there, that would have really caught the Union with their pants down. But I definitely understand why they wouldn't want to gamble on that.
I mean, you're the attackers. You got to gamble attack somewhere at some point.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, if you're all the way in those trees, you don't know that 2/3 of the Union line are spread out into an area they're not normally. Although now they're bringing that gun up to the snake rail fence. That might be that might dislodge some of those guys in the woods.
Overshot. More Unions starting to pull off the left side now. I'd move up to the top of the hill.
You know, I'm just thinking that the first time I ever played Arty was shortly after I got this game, and it was on Dunker Church, and I show up, and I'm just like, I don't know how to play Arty, and the guys were very nice, and I felt like a little kid, because, you know, you got the most senior guy, he's packing it, it's like, do you want to pull the ripcord, champ? Yay, I get to pull the cord! It's like, oh, you killed them all after I aimed the gun for you. It was very nice, but it was also very funny.
Over here. Yeah, things happen all the
Union about to hit engage. Confederates almost getting there as well. One or two there.
It looks like the CSA is pretty stagnant, although they might be pushing up a little bit on the left.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's going to be hard for them to break, or at least gain significant ground. They might get some kills, but...
Especially because they got 2 fences they need to hop over, and that's going to kind of dampen any charge there.
Yeah, 14 Tennessee starting to take those guns. Yes, the 1st Maryland guys starting to engage. CSA still holding that woods. I've never seen CSA holding that woods and it work.
There ain't no way these schools are getting
it's interesting that the CSA has been getting a lot of really successful probes into the Union defense, but the thing is they've only been probes. They haven't really exploited any of these gaps, and I feel like by the time they've noticed they've had these gaps, the Union's already plugged it.
14 Tennessee pulling back. And that's the thing, the area of defense for Union is so small that Union's always going to be able to quickly react and move over, but a CSA just has to commit to some direction and go there. It can be hard for CSA when you spread yourselves out.
Yeah, I mean, as a Union officer, I could say this three-pronged approach would have been maddening, not knowing which one is the main one. Although, then again, now that we have the bonus or the benefit of omnipotence here, we can see that maybe that spread out isn't as advantageous as it may feel.
I think that's the thing, is that if you start seeing a lot of guys from the other team around you from a lot of different directions, instead of maybe panicking and being like, oh crap, they're surrounding me, maybe be like, oh, they're thinned out. We can defeat them in detail as long as we blah blah. At least that's what my thought process is now that I've seen a lot of this, especially in pubs. But
and why didn't you tell McClellan this when you had the chance?
Let's turn back the clock here. We've actually been spectating since 1862.
But you know, no one else had a computer, so the audience was very small.
Of course.
That's why no one knew about it.
These are all archived videos, actually. This is actually the Civil War live. Be a heck of a thing. Colorized footage of.
No spoilers. I don't want to know how it ends.
That would be kind of cool if there was, I think it's been brought up numerous times, but having a game mode where you fight on one map and then whoever wins, the battlefield kind of shifts over to the next map. Like a more historical.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It's always been talked about, but then we get Conquest Contention, which are nice, but it's like, I don't know. Conquest was, I think, their first attempt at it, and I think it's, Contention was definitely better, but it still wasn't kind of hitting that mark, I think.
I kind of like the idea that some people have brought up, something kind of akin to the operations from Battlefield 1.
Right.
Where you're kind of fighting in a collapsing map over points, that I think would feel a little bit more authentic to a Civil War battle. But, Lord knows if we'll ever get that. I'm pretty sure they put that suggestions tab in the Discord just so we'd have a place to vent ourselves, and no one ever looks at it.
Right.
The ideas tab is the opioid of the masses.
Yeah, I know they put it out after we did the dev one-on-one to get direct feedback, but how much is it actually considered is a question in and of itself. Well, we'll never know, but
yeah.
It is what it is.
As we've said before, they are a cagey team, for better or worse. My big hope, though, is one day that the achievement suggestions I put on there, that at least one of them will be used. Then I can die happy.
You were the person that put the long list of achievements on that suggestions? I do remember that post.
Oh, absolutely. Mostly as an exercise of wordplay, but, you know, also, I need my Skinner's box. It's running out of pellets. The only achievement I don't have is 100 games of contention. Oh!
Got maybe, what, 2, 3 there? Knocked down a fair amount more. But
anytime someone gets red misted in this game, it's a fun time. No matter how many times I've seen it happen, everyone will always react with a heavy "oh shit" when it happens in their line.
Artillery does get in the head of a lot of people, I do think. And that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
CSA's almost down on tickets right now. What the heck?
And here I thought all those World War I soldiers were just a bunch of crybabies.
This is really lax.
Yeah, it looks like their line to the left is getting in the field, and then the cabin's getting whittled down a bit. I don't know if they lost their flag or everyone's just maybe they're all just concentrated in the back. Oh yeah, hey, look at that! They're stealing your beehive idea.
Which, as a point of reference, was me making fun of that. But anyways,
it wasn't a suggestion, guys. who can definitely hear us.
Imagine if you could talk to. I got 3 guys. But imagine if spectators could talk to in-game players.
Oh my god, the game would be so broken. There's already so many accusations of cheating that way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's. I think the little unfortunate thing with pubs is that you'll get that. But, I mean.
Can't trust anybody.
Really.
So I'm just going to accuse them of stream sniping from this unpublished video.
Oh, of course.
They know what we're talking about in this close conversation.
Of course. I mean, if they're on the Patreon, they get a 5-minute delay, then they'll know what they're talking about, but...
Yeah. Wouldn't be the first time I've accused Scrapper of reading my mind.
8th Connecticut's pushing up, trying to wipe these first... I'm surprised. First, South Carolina's been off on their own for the most part. I mean, they got 3 guys.
Oh, looks like the Union's starting to move up on the cabin troops.
Yeah, they wiped those guys. And
Yeah,
TSC
this is
still
pulling
got
about as
charged.
statically. So while we wait for the CSA to do something, you often talk about your guests and how they got into the game. How did you get into the game?
I did not get into the game. This is an AI. No. CSA's pushing up on the left. So yeah, I watched in high school, in my sophomore year, so this is 2018, I started watching General Cody videos. Got the game in 2020, joined the IBB, was there for 2 years, got an officer, mustered up a couple companies, and started doing this in 2022. Just obviously enjoy the game, especially the strategy behind it. And speaking of some strategy, we have charging from CSA up on top of the hill. It's only 5th Alabama's the only group to do it. USC's going to slam over here. More CSA is running up the hill right now, but they're going to be way too late. They're spreading way too far out. Union's defeating them in detail. This is not how you win this map.
And see what I mean about them just reading our thoughts. You know, they do nothing all game, and then the second we start talking about something, and then they're like, oh, better start moving. Better interrupt this conversation.
It always happens. Yeah. And the funny thing, too, is like nothing will happen. I'll start looking at one little guy like rambling in the woods, and then that's when the charging happens. It's always funny like that. But, yeah, no, General Cody got me into the game for the most part. Really just enjoyed the strategy, just Civil War. I've always grown up loving the Civil War and then finally getting a game with it. I've officered a little bit while I was in IVB, but obviously I've been doing this for 2 years. I haven't really played the game a whole lot, just been watching a lot of strategy and getting the community more, and it's been a blessing. It's been amazing. So more CSA.
Yeah, I will say that.
Yeah.
That is one of the things that's kind of kept me in this game is the community with it. It's just great. I don't think I would have stuck with this game as long as I have if it wasn't for all the really cool people we play with in events like this, regimental play. You know, just poking the bear in the Discord sometimes is fun.
Yeah,
and my bear, I mean Bradley.
Towards the end of CSA pushed up to the corner here, 14 Tennessee, and they're just getting shot up by the whole team. CSA is being defeated in detail as they rush in. Again, probing but not breaking through. They need to blob up as a team. That's the only way you're going to be able to break through a Union on this roulette map. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. Yeah, it's a great position, but yeah.
It looks like the CSA is starting to send in their reinforcements now, but again, too little, too late.
Why? At this point, you need to reform. 5th Alabama's going in now a second time. They got wiped on the left. Now they're going in again. More CSA are holding on that right side.
No, we're not. Shut up.
I mean, they're really the only reason
Captain Ronald.
What do you say?
Shoot their dicks off.
Yeah, fair enough. Aiming low in this game is the advice. Bullets rise. It's just at such close distances in this game. I mean, ticket imbalance is pretty big on this map, even though it's 44% in favor of CSA. So even though Union's doing a heck of a job, and they are winning on tickets, right? Union's still down a fair amount. Kind of back to that whole community feel. Yeah, no, towards the end of 2021, I was kind of falling out in the game. I was just like kind of done with it. I didn't really like it, but the community kind of kept me in, especially when it's doing this. Like when you're watching the same game for 2 years in a row, seeing the same thing over and over again, community is really the one kind of keeping me going, and it's an enjoying thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's not I'm playing this map for the 10,000th time. It's I'm hanging out with my buddies.
Exactly.
And we're playing this map for the 10,000th time.
Yep.
I have made a lot of friends in 5th Corps, and I have been very happy to be part of it.
Indeed. Heck, I've met a fair few amount of people within the community. I'm going to be doing the same thing in a couple weeks, so it'll be great. It's a thing of beauty.
Oh, yeah.
BLN War of Rights Con going to happen summer 2025. We'll see. That would be a War of Rights. That would be, I don't know. That would either be the most wholesome or the most toxic thing ever.
Yeah, no, I'm calling that a coin flip.
So,
there's so many jokes I want to make, but I don't want to call out individual players on this.
Start ripping it up. So, it's really funny. I've been complaining that CSA's been sitting back. Now they're pushing forward, and I'm still complaining. But I guess that's kind of what I do.
There is just no pleasing you, Eagle.
I know. I mean, that's really like. That's for most people. Just come on and commentate. I mean, I'll talk with some people about this, but everyone has a specific idea of how they think the meta should work in game and how to win games. And I think that's the cool part too, because there's so many different regiments that still have so many different ideas for what's good and what works, and so many different events too that tailor to so many different kinds of things. That this game, you can always find something that fits how you like to play the game, right? But like,
yeah, that's the thing. Like, even with regiments, I mean, there are some. If you want a real like milsim experience, I know there's some regiments out there where they have to like permission to speak on. Personally, I can never stand that. If I wanted that, I'd join the real goddamn army. But there are people who like that and appeals to them. There's some where they keep things a little bit more casual, and yet they're still, you know, playing competent gameplay.
Right. I think that's
like there's something for every temperament.
Yeah, but kind of back to what I was really saying. I mean, everyone comes on with this mindset of how the game works, and so that's what I think the interesting thing. Because I'll watch Ghosts of Antietam, and I know I mean, this applies to a lot of the European events as well. The strategies played in Ghosts of Antietam and European events are not metas that I normally see, and I mean both sides have completely different metas. And so some things work that normally don't work in the meta that I usually see. So it's very cool to watch. I can be wrong a lot, especially in these type of events, and I think that makes it interesting to watch.
Yeah, I can't tell you, more than once I've dropped the ball in an HRE event because of their no sprinting rule, and then it's just like I've planned the match the same way that I would a regular like version of that. It'll be like Bloody Lane, like, oh yeah, you charge. Oh wait, no we can't, and now we're walking across this field and we're all gonna die. So we got to remember that next time in strategy.
Right. I do kind of like that HRE rule of no sprinting and no bayonets, because really, right? I think melees, when you actually get down to it, the only difference is that it's 3 hits instead of 2. So I think those are essentially the same. It's just obviously you can't sprint up; you got to double quick up. So outside of that, I mean, I think watching the Grug charges are very funny.
And as an officer, even if I'm not leading, I get to play as a sergeant major, which means while everyone else is trying to hit me with their rifle butt, I have a sword, and now I'm the biggest badass in the field. It's very unfair, but very fun for me.
So, CSA kind of ramping up that pressure. Ticket favor going right back in CSA's direction. You are hitting short. But ramping up, going back in favor of CSA, that's not terribly surprising. I mean, when you have a 44% more tickets than your opponent, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Union's starting to flank around some 14th, 65th, and some 8th Connecticut guys are going really far away. I don't know. It looks like they're shooting at the first LEB guys who are at this far side, but... More Unions starting to shift to the left side. They're leaving up the snake fence where a majority of the CSA team is.
Yeah, I can't say I mean, I guess they still have the 8th up there to defend it.
Yeah,
that's still a very risky play.
They're kind of leaving this corner here, right where the CSA are at.
Yeah.
Maybe they're taking too many casualties. I mean, it's definitely noticeable in the ticket percentage of each side.
They also might have been overreacting to the CSA that's in the orchard, but I mean, if it's obvious you've got the area secured, if I was the 1st Maryland or 8th Connecticut, whoever's down there, I'd definitely start pulling back into the corner.
Yeah, I mean, you can see CSA starting to push down the stone wall. I mean, they should get that stone wall, protect yourselves up. They're actually charging on top right as I hit Steam Overlay. I love Steam Overlay, and they fall back. I mean, 9-2 George is pretty much outnumbered. But CSA is charging. USA is charging now to retake the position that they just willingly left. Now both sides are going to lose a fair amount of tickets.
The Union giveth and the Union taketh away.
I don't know why they pulled off the... I don't know if they thought the CSA wasn't going to take that position, but they fell back just to push right back in. Granted,
they might have thought that the Orchard was a bigger threat, or that they'd be able to retake it easier, but...
I mean, they've retaken it pretty easily.
It worked for them. At the end of the day, you can't argue with the results.
Yeah, the question is tickets, though.
Now the question, is continuing to charge out a smart idea.
I mean,
it would be audacious for them to swing in on those guys on the ridge, but...
Oh, CSA's charging on the right side now. Union left.
Oh.
They're taking that wall now. I mean, if Union blob turns and charges this way, which they are starting to do now, I don't think CSA is going to win ground, but... I mean, they're kind of getting these out of line, skirmishing deaths from these spread out groups. That killed one there, that overshot, that killed two. Jeez, that was a lot of already in one spot. Knocked down everybody, basically. And CSA fall back. Already kind of threw them back. Granted, there wasn't that many of them, but...
Well, we'll see how many charges the CSA has left in it.
You got 11 minutes. Definitely enough time to get him down the braking. Is it...
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the Union's biggest weakness right now, is that they go into braking. So all those counter charges, they need to be a little bit more conscious about their casualties.
What? Some CSA behind the barn and all falling back to their main spawn with their flags. Trying to get organized. CSA's ahead a little bit on tickets. Not surprising. CSA does have a down flag behind the barn.
We missed it. Oh my god.
A company. C, over here. Company C.
Yeah, join the line over here.
I will be
But I mean, TSA. I think this is precious time at this point.
Mm-hmm. If I was the CSA officer, I'd definitely be trying to concentrate everybody. I mean, the Union is now expecting the CSA to kind of come from every direction, so you can gamble on they might be spread out, and if you throw in a really strong spear thrust into their overextended defenses, you might be able to pull something off. But, you know, again, coordinating something like that can be a little bit easier said than done.
Hey, Archer! Go this way! Up and over.
Kind of have to, you know, hope the entire team has wiped so all the officers can talk in the spawn.
Yeah.
So
first,
looks like they're still spreading out.
Yeah.
They want to get their flag back. I mean, that makes sense.
That makes sense. I would hope that they would gun it back to where their friendlies are at. I mean, I don't know. Every time I've watched roulette, CSA will just blob up, push up this left open field, sit in this defilade, shoot for a while, and then charge up there. Even if it doesn't work, I mean, you're going to have ticket advantage.
Yeah.
They're just sitting and shooting.
You know, it's not the most biased map in the game by any stretch of the imagination, but Roulette Lane usually is a pretty Union-biased one when you assume both teams kind of know what they're doing. And so I don't fault them for trying something a little different. That said, though, yeah, that's one of the things that can be hard when the teams can't communicate with each other as easily, but you still kind of have to have a fallback plan where if a new strategy isn't really working out how you expected it, maybe fall back into more tied. What's that damn expression? Tired and true methods.
Does Union win Roulette Lane most of the time in GOA?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, the CSA has won it, but I would definitely say that the Union wins more often than not.
That's surprising.
Tried and true. That's it.
Everything else that I've watched, CSA has won like 95% of the time. Union never wins this map.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I'll be damned.
It's
I feel like the only
nice
time I
see.
usually see.
But
There are some maps where I feel like the only way that there are some maps, especially in Harper's Ferry, that I don't think are very well optimized, and usually the only way that one team is going to win is if the other makes a mistake. Not to talk about Boulevard Camp for the third time, but it's yeah, I feel like that in my experience, this has been one of them. Usually when I see the CSA win here, it's because the Union did something stupid.
interesting. And I mean, that kind of goes back to different events with different metas. And that's the cool thing about the game. But, I mean, both sides here, almost at breaking. 6 minutes left. I don't know if TSA is going to be able to push Union into last stand.
Damn. They're coming up. Shoot him in the face.
I was playing this in pubs once, and we had our, as the Union, once the CSA started threatening the snake rail fence, they pulled us all the way to the back to the road by Union spawn. That was a, yeah, you want to make a McClellan joke. I was making them hard and heavy there.
That's wild. That's really wild.
Yeah.
6 minutes left.
Yeah, that was straight up insane.
So, all right, CSA. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to push Union. I mean, CSA's, if they charge now, they maybe got another one good charge after that, but
if there was a means for these two flanks to communicate with each other and kind of time their charge, I think that might be, you know, if they pincered the Union at the same time, then this might have a little bit more legs to it. But when you kind of have to guesstimate what the other side is doing, yeah, I think sticking together is the way to go.
right. CSA hits breaking. Union should follow shortly, and I think CSA is starting to charge here. 5th Alabama's going in first. Very spread out. Half the CSA is not even going in on this side. Canister hitting 2 or 3 CSA guys in the front there. Another one killing one. Union hits breaking.
Get out of here, buddy.
Where's the Union on this? What?
All the way up the stake fence.
Yeah, either that or holding down the road.
No, those guys on the road could very easily, you know, sweep out this little pittance of a CSA force coming up the road, but they're just not reacting to it, which is surprising me a little bit.
First Maryland's collapsing, so 8th Connecticut guys are sitting in the middle of the field, which is interesting. And Union's going to hold that. That's not surprising. 5th Alabama was the only group to go in that I saw. Now 7th Tennessee and 14th are now going in by themselves. Again, they're being defeated in detail.
I didn't notice this until now, but did you see that they've got a cannon straight up the road to do that to whoever comes up? That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's the canister shot that I saw then at the beginning of the 5th Alabama charge.
I didn't think they'd be able to pull that off considering how much the CSA has been attacking on that flank this game, but yeah, they got it there.
Yeah. 14th has kind of stopped on that right side, pulled off to the left side. I think the last couple CSA guys now moving in on this corner wall. 4 minutes. This is... I have never seen a roulette lane go this far in Union's favor. This is actually wild to me.
Man, that really does surprise me. I guess I'll have to see some other events.
Yeah. Holy crap.
That Union officer, yeah, Demons over there is just shredding that small CSA remnant force on the road with that revolver.
Yeah. Jeez. 3 minutes left. CSA not really pushing up on Union left. They're just kind of, again, probing. First, South Carolina's going far left. Kind of forming up this bar. And CSA's got one more good charge left in them to try to win point.
Looks
Union's
like
actually
they
pushing out the
might
field
try
goal.
to come for that exposed gun, which definitely is a smart thing to do strategically because it takes very little manpower. But at this point in the game, it might just be smarter to keep everyone together and just make one final push.
Medical
Here comes the
services.
first South Carolina.
Yeah, let's see if they fire the.
Ooh, they caught him.
Fire the gun.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
I don't mind low.
Oh, that
Ooh.
hit right in front of where that gun was and didn't kill anybody. I thought they
Damn.
would have had canister loaded.
Yeah.
I guess they had it prepped for down the road and they turned it for this, but
100%. RIP my 65th who were guarding that gun.
a couple of them, more of them moving over to assist. But 2 minutes left. CSA.
So are we gonna finish?
They're being very passive for the situation they're in. Wow.
We're moving. 14's going.
Yeah, I think they're gonna go now. I think. Yep, there they go. 14th.
Yeah, they
7th.
have to. They're running out of time.
Artillery hitting that middle of the wave, knocking down a couple, killing a couple. CSA starting to engage on point. I think this is the last hurrah. CSA sitting back on that field. Union starting to collapse from top of the hill. CSA holding on the far side as well. And Union should hold this.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up, bitch.
Although now we have some CSA reinforcements coming in from the cabin. I don't know if it'll be enough to make a difference, but man, if they somehow pulled this off with this little wild card charge at the end.
It's not going to. Union has complete control the whole point with their team, and all those guys that died in that charge are going to get back in right away. CSA charging on the field right now. 19th Georgia is. And it's not going to work, unfortunately, for them. The guys in the cabin fell back, and CSA might have final push. But yeah, what are your thoughts for this round, Snow Cactus, as Union pretty much dominates this?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I respect the CSA for trying something a little bit more unorthodox on the map that they usually lose during this event. But at the end of the day, sometimes you try something different and it just doesn't pan out. The Union held really well. They did their own little unorthodox things, like getting that cannon on the road. I find it funny when I watch your videos and I can recognize people's voices screaming like I was just able to right there. What's up, Jack? Anyway, but yeah, they call me biased as a member of the 5th Corps. I'm so happy that they went 2-0, especially after going 0-4 on Sunday.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Well, I'd like to thank you, Snow Cactus, for coming on. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
65th Illinois Discord will be in the description if you want to join his group. But nonetheless,
if you join this,
yeah,
I was just going to say, if you join the 65th Illinois, you will grow by 2 inches or you will get your money back.
Well, here you go. You heard it here first. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, check out the description where we have our Discord, our merch, and our Patreon where you get live streams of all the broadcasts we do. You can advertise your regiment on the bottom of our videos and get raw gameplay footage with no commentary and UI of all the events we do. But nonetheless, we appreciate you watching. It means the world, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. We will see you in the next one.